Karen, Content Manager at Pan Intelligence, and in this short video we're going to be looking at our second example of card charts. So first of all, let's click the Create New Chart icon, and over in the Edit Chart screen we'll go straight to the Chart menu and we'll choose Card Chart. Now let's add some data. So we go to the Data menu, and in this example we're going to be using two different data objects. So I'm going to select Employee Count first, and then I'm going to add Gender icon. At the end of the video I'll show you how to create an object very similar to this one, but what it's going to do is whatever filter we apply to this card, so if we filter it on male employees, it will apply the male gender icon, and if we filter on female, it will apply a different icon. So I'll show you how you can create that at the end of the video, but that's what we're trying to achieve in this example. So the next thing we need to do is add some placeholders to position these objects. So I'm going to add two different placeholders to start with. And in this first one, I'm going to go over to this content menu, and if you remember I said this was in our first video, this was the easiest way and the most accurate way of adding objects, because we're going to make sure that the spelling and the case matches exactly with how it appears in the data source. So I'm going to click this first object, and then I'm going to click after the curly brackets, use the space bar to create a space, and then click on the second one. So we can see in our preview section we've got the total number of employees and we've got an icon here. Now at the moment this is not very useful because it doesn't match with male or female, and we're not seeing the number corresponding to male or female. So before we start changing any of that, let's just add the text that we want to appear on our card as well. So I've started adding some text here, and what I want to introduce now is something called object replacement. And what object replacement does is it actually uses an object name and replaces it with a value from a filter, and that filter could either be at chart level or it could be at category level. Now to add something to use in object replacement, to add an object that we're going to use this way, we need to enclose it with the double curly brackets, and we need to type the name of the object. So in this case we're using something called gender, and then I'm just going to finish off the rest of this text. So at the moment the card doesn't look that great because we've not actually done any filtering and we've not done any formatting. So first of all, what I want to do is make sure that this text box appears at the top of the card, and if you remember we use this move up object here, this move up icon. So we've now got it in the right position. Let's do a little bit of formatting. So if we click on our first text box and go to the formatting tab, firstly I'm going to change the text size to be 28 points on that first box, and then on the second one let's change it to be 72 and we'll make it bold. So we formatted the card a little bit, but to show you how object replacement works, let's move over to the Filters tab and let's add a filter that uses the gender field, and we'll just choose female in this example. So once we've done that, we can see that that object name is now replaced with the text that we've got specified in this filter, and we can see how this gender icon works as well. We've got a different icon and a number of just female employees. So just to show you that it does work, if we switch over to male, see that the icon changes, the object replacement changes, and the number. So now let's save this card and move back to the dashboard. And we can see the card looks very similar to our first example. What I don't want to do, however, is to have to come back into Edit Chart and change this filter every time I want to see a different figure and a different icon. So what I'm going to introduce next is something called category object filters, and before I set that up I'm just going to remove this filter so the card will go back to having this object name. I'm just going to go back to the dashboard. So to create a category object filter, we go into dashboard configuration at the top right, and we make sure we select the category that we're working in. In this example we're using something called screenshots. So once I click on that, I can see that I've got my category selected at the top here, and to add an object filter I'm going to click this icon. What that enables me to do now is to go into the relevant data source and choose the object that I want to filter on. Now, because I want users to be able to flick between male and female genders, I'm going to leave it as a drop list, and I'm going to specify a default value here. I don't want them to be able to select all genders because I want them to see differences between numbers and icons, etc. So I'm just going to untick this option, and I'm going to leave the filter box ticked because I do want them to be able to filter using the category object. So if I save this and go back to the dashboard, we should see the introduction of another icon at the top here. And if we click on this, we get a little pop-out menu. So you can see the default value that I selected. And if I change that and click apply, that's how easy it is to change this card using object replacement and a category object filter. So at the very start of the video, I said I'd show you how to create an object using this gender icon field. So all I've done is gone back into dashboard configuration and gone to the data connections tab, and I can see my table here with all of my objects. So this is how I created this object. You can see here that it basically says when the gender's male, then use this icon, otherwise use the female icon. Now if I go back to the dashboard again, we can see our second example. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Join us again for our final video where we'll recreate this third card chart. Thank you for watching.